The holiday season is upon us, and if you would love to create happy memories with your children this Christmas, check out the Holiday Book Flood from the Peaceful Press. It includes 25 days of holiday books that are linked to YouTube, so you don't have to visit the library, activities, crafts, and recipes. Each day features a new Christmas book with activities. You will do things like creating snow globes with mason jars, glitter, and mini trees, or making gingerbread houses or yarn candy cane ornaments. So many simple crafts with things that you already have around your house, simple holiday recipes, nature play, poetry, art, and music are also features of the Holiday Book Flood. And it just beautifully embodies the Peaceful Press values of simplicity and family connection and intentional living. Families who have used the Peaceful Press book flood for the holidays say this is the perfect way for us to spend our cold December mornings. The books were precious. It was easy to pick and choose on the fly based on energy levels and attitudes. We had so much fun. Michelle says, we're enjoying this so much. Our family's using it with different ages, but everyone is enjoying the activities and the time spent together. Stephen and Michelle said, we love the book selections. The daily crafts have given our kids a fun way to have quality time with me and connect. Mary said, I love these guys. They're so much fun and cover everything you need and want them to. I'll be adding them to our homeschooling for years to come. Nikki said, a wonderful and peaceful Advent resource. I'm so excited. Erin said, I'm glad to have found such a fun Advent study for our Christmas season. Dominique said, I'm so excited about this. I want to slow down and truly enjoy this month and have so much fun together with my children. So if you're looking for a fun, cheerful holiday resource, the Peaceful Press Holiday Book Flood is perfect. It includes, again, 25 Advent cards, 25 days of activities. It includes poetry and art and recipes and crafts, and is just such a simple, easy, fun holiday tradition. You can find it at the link in profile and use code Restoration10 for 10% off your purchase. This is Jennifer Pepito with the Restoration Home podcast. This is a show where we talk about cultivating a flourishing family culture through life-giving habits. Today on the show, I'm excited to be chatting with Evegniia Arasim. I have gotten the pleasure of working with Evgenia as my health coach for a season. She was so good at helping me start an exercise habit and really helping me evaluate some of my self-care practices. I've been a mom for 32 years and I have loved giving myself to raising my children. But sometimes that comes with a little bit of neglect for a season. And so learning how to kind of take care of ourselves is an important practice. And I'm excited to chat about doing this over the holidays today with Evgenia. Thanks for joining me today, Evgenia.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about this practice of caring for ourselves, especially as we head into this holiday season. I have found over the last, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years that every Christmas I would like go up a few pounds and then it'd be a little bit harder to recover that weight gain. And so then I would enter the new year just feeling a little bit sluggish. And one of the things that you were so helpful about with me is just like learning to make choices, not like, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that, but just learning to make more thoughtful choices so that I wasn't as prone to eat all the stocking candy while I was wrapping presents. So I'd love to just have you talk to the moms who are listening and they're like trying to create this magical environment for their kids, but also don't want to blow up like a big house over the holidays.
Yes, yes, I totally understand this. Um, I don't want to say problem because it's a blessing that we have a possibility to do this, right? We have to look at things, not just everything has some negative sides and positive sides. And I do recommend to look at this from a positive perspective that we have an a possibility to have the candies, to have home, to have presents, and doing all of this. But we also have to remember why we should avoid eating like this, and how we could be making better choices about candies or food in particular, or our habits to not, as you said, quote unquote, blow up as a big house. I think that's what you said, on holidays. Because in reality, we still can move, we still can eat healthy here, even though we can also choose to give ourselves a little bit of here and there more stuff that we wouldn't be eating on a regular basis.
Yeah. And, you and I had an earlier podcast where we talked about your childhood in Russia and how there was like some deprivation in that, and, having to like go and grow your own potatoes to eat. And I also did not have, it was not, it was not the same, but we were poor. I mean, I remember one Christmas, like we were not going to have any presents. And then my dad showed up with, like, I had a necklace. It was a cute little necklace that he'd gotten, and I don't know how he was even able to get the money to do that, but there were no stockings, there were no presents that year. It was just like a little house on the prairie situation. And so I think for anybody listening who had some level of deprivation in their childhood, it can be easy to want to make it up to your kids or even to yourself as an adult with an amount of excess. And it might be in eating, it might be in presence. But the problem with excess is it causes stress later. You can have the hardship of maybe like saying no to that extra party that's going to make you really tired, or saying no to that extra piece of Christmas cake. And there's a hard in that. But then if you do that, there's the easier later of not having to work extra hard to lose some weight, or not having to work extra hard to organize your overfull house. And so I'd love to just have you talk to us a little bit about how you have overcome some of that, childhood deprivation to live with balance, because you live with a lot of balance as an adult.
Yes, in some extent. But even though if you would ask me, I would probably not say this way. But it's just my perception of reality, which is maybe a little bit exaggerated. But what I wanted to say is, as you said, we can, so we don't have to do this, so we later don't have to lose weight. But also, I encourage people to not think about their image in the mirror, even though it's very important for women particularly. We feel more confident if we look certain way, although lots of this is just brought to us by 90s of skinny culture. But what I wanted to say, just remember that feeling great is great. It's not just about losing weight. And think about that, not eating or not overeating certain things, and not necessarily depriving yourself, but finding the ways how to include this into your holidays, eating candies or more um, less healthy stuff, even though some of the candies could be healthier. Eating it closer to the morning when you will spend energy. Eating it with protein so it doesn't create blood sugar spikes. And overall, moving after each meal, that will give you a feeling of a great feeling, like feeling great in your body. And that is what we want, right? So how did I overcome this? I'm not sure if I overcame this 100%, but in general, I just remember that I have a choice, and I also have a mission to be an example for my child right now, and hopefully I'll have more kids later. Um, Plus, my husband has a little bit of more issues with, for example, not being able to stop on certain foods. So I also have to remind myself that if I will be letting myself go, then he will completely let himself go. So I can't necessarily relax, and that's good for me, because it is hard when you were deprived. Like my most of my holidays in Russia when I was a child, and most of Soviet Union kids, the main present was a bag of candies, which we were only eating during the holidays. That is like chocolate candies and like tangerines. That is the basic gift. And then wherever, if your parents were working at some factory or something, they would give a parent a box of candies as well, but it wouldn't be like, 3 kilograms, or it would be maybe 2 pounds, and then you stretch it, you stretch it, and some kids would eat it all, but some parents would only give you like one candy a day or something. And that also created lots of things, because when my mom was giving me one thing, or when she was using, for example, bread with butter that you could barely see the butter, and then she would cut the cheese, which you can look through and see everything. Eventually, I started cutting the cheese so thick. She was like, "What are you doing?" When we were able to afford it, and I was saying, "Well, I would rather eat once and not eat it for the next 30 days than split this little piece into 30 days and always feel like it's not enough." So, in a way of the food, for example, we have lots of varieties right now, and I do feel better when my fridge is stocked, like very full. But I'm working on this because we do have food and we don't need to over buy it, so then we throw it away, because I hate throwing food. I think, especially in today's world, there are so many countries and so many people who are starving, kids who are starving, and every time if I throw, like, the spinach from Costco that you buy the huge pile and then you never use it fully, you kind of feel bad for throwing half of it. So I try to say a little prayer and ask God for forgiveness, because that is, for me personally, it's not the best thing to do, throwing food. But I also cannot. So I got worms for gardening, and then I put my food that I didn't finish that got bad into this worms, so they can create compost for me. At least it's used somehow.
That's so great, Evgenia, because I was thinking, oh, I mean, that's the beauty of having chickens. We don't have chickens right now either. And my husband doesn't like us to throw food scraps in the yard because he's worried about rats. And I'm like, I hate throwing food away. It's so wonderful to have chickens or a pig. And I still have 4 kids living at home, so there's not a lot of food waste here. But, it's true, like those spring mixes, they go bad before just about you can eat them all. And so, and, one of the things I was thinking about as you're talking is that sometimes it's dysregulation that causes us to overeat. We're stressed about too many family events, or stressed about whether we're getting our kids the right present. And so then that's when we turn to maybe overeating sweets or something to sort of self comfort. What are some ways that mothers could self comfort or regulate without turning to maybe habits of overeating or scrolling or things like that?
Yes, yes. I feel like dysregulation is a big issue right now, especially right now. And when we overeating, I do believe, because I did have issues with overeating constantly, especially because of my sport career, we couldn't eat so much, and we constantly were food deprived, not just at home, but because we had to eat less and lose weight constantly. I do believe it's a problem of dysregulation of nervous system, and I actually do believe that lots of problems in health and addictions and stuff like this are dysregulations in our nerve system. So first is to get your phone far from you. Try to sleep with no phone in your bedroom. I personally right now, I did have some problems with phone addiction, so I bought myself a box. It's like a lock box. It's plastic. I don't have that addiction that bad that I would destroy that box. It's not that bad, but when I bought this, it was actually really, really good. I wasn't using the box, but I was thinking, like, am I insane that I need a box in order for me to stop the phone usage? So first month I was kind of okay without using the box, but it was always on my rather on my desk if I needed this. And then I kind of got back into my habit, and now I'm using that box more often. So I just lock it for, I know, the evening, when we're the least regulated. The evening is the hardest part, especially when my child goes to bed, and this hour when I'm like, okay, I can do millions of things, but why don't I just sabotage myself and scroll? Or, for example, I also could choose to go and rest because I did about 5 million things already during this day. So it's very important to make sure that you put this phone away, whatever it is. You can ask your husband to help you. You can use the box. You can ask your kids. I guarantee your kids would love to have some control over you with your phone, particularly. But obviously, it's not that they have to use it. They have to just move it somewhere. And then it starts in the morning. So in the morning, I know it's not that sunny right now. Sunrise doesn't go until probably 8, and some places probably until 8:30. Some places it's 7. So it's harder, but it's still possible. We need to get into the sun. Like, we need to get under the sunlight. If it's possible to get outside for a walk, that would be great. If it's not possible, just get into your front porch or open the window for 1 minute at least. And if it's not possible, do 30 seconds. Just blink and do like one glance at the sun. That will be helpful for your hormonal balance, for your nervous system balance. If you live in California or somewhere where it's warmer, if you could get outside with your bare feet to ground a little bit, that would be also great. Another thing, you can do breathing exercise. It doesn't have to be any specific breathing. Don't focus on any extras. Just breathe deep as you can. 5 breaths, great. 10 breaths, even better. If you can spend 5 minutes and, for example, listen to some prayer. That's what I do first thing in the morning when I wake up. And of course, in the summertime, it's easier because the sun is already out at 6 or even earlier. But in the wintertime, it's harder. But you turn on the light. I do it in the washroom. I do listen for 5 minutes prayers to kind of help me regulate after I slept. And I breathe throughout this prayer. I breathe and I repeat this prayer. And then after this 5 minutes, I do feel so much better. Definitely on the days when I slept in or I have to get up and go, it's day and night difference. And then having protein, regulating your blood sugar by having enough protein in the morning before coffee. If you like coffee, have it after the food. If you don't like coffee, like me, don't have it at all. Have water. Um, if you could eat your protein and be outside at the same time, that's ideal situation. In Canada, we can we can't do it um, unless something is wrong with you and you want to be in a cold at 8 a.m. by yourself, trying to find the sunlight. You can, but yes, so all of these things: breathing, grounding, prayer, having breakfast before coffee, and having protein breakfast, and sunlight, of course. I could probably find another 20 things to say, but I don't want to overwhelm anyone. I was just driving and thinking what we're going to be discussing with you, and I was just thinking to say that there is millions of things we could do. We could do emotional freedom tapping. We could do some other techniques. We could do lymphatic drainages and everything. But in order for us to start and to commit to something, we have to simplify it as much as possible and stick to very, very simple routine that will not bring you anxiety, but will bring you joy when you're thinking about this. And you would want to wake up and do it. And then when this happens for 1, 2, 3 months, you can add on. My routine is long right now. My routine is 1 hour, but it took me, right now I'm doing it for probably 4 to 5 years, but it took me at least 2.5 years to get into that routine and to find what will work for me.
Yeah, and I love that you're taking time just to be off your phone every morning. We're going to link a phone lock box in the show notes because I think that is one of the things that is most dysregulating us as moms when we're wanting to be present with our kids, and there's so much joy in reading aloud with them, or playing. Right now so many families are using the Christmas guide and they're making crafts with their kids and playing pretend indoor snowball fights and all these fun things we can do. But then, the kids get in a fight over whose snowball's the biggest, or there's a meltdown over the glue. And our tendency is just to rush to our phones or rush to the stocking candy so that we can comfort ourselves in this unrest. One of the things that we've been working on this year in the restoration home community is learning how to deal with unrest, is learning how to acknowledge, oh yeah, I felt unrest because the kids were fighting and it made me where they would never get along and I was a failure as a parent. And then actually taking those thoughts to Jesus and handing them off, confessing those thoughts as sins, or even demonic spirits that are coming against us. Because if the thoughts in our heads lead us to do things that are actually self-destructive or destructive to our families, and they're not our friends. And so not every, it's important to acknowledge our emotions, to sort of look at them and examine them, but we don't have to believe everything that we think or feel. Evgenia, I'm so enjoying this list of tips. This morning I had some tea made from fresh chamomile and lemongrass from my garden. We're recording this long before the holidays. And then I went and dug up potatoes in my garden. I knelt completely barefoot, bare-legged on the ground and got some really good grounding in. And it was so life-giving. But what do families do in the winter? So many families are living in northern climates where it's really difficult to even get outside and get that sunlight, the fresh sunlight, or get nobody's putting their feet on the
Yeah.
grass when it's snowing outside. And I know because you live up in eastern Canada.
Yes. So what you could do is, again, breathing is always possible, right? Prayer is always possible. If there is sunlight where you are when you wake up, it's not necessarily that you have to get out for 10 minutes to freeze, but even like 1 minute is enough. And if it's not possible, if it's, let's say, minus, I don't know, I don't really know the negative in Fahrenheit, but if it's like minus 30, like in like really, really cold, and I'm saying Celsius, so it's probably like minus 60 or something in Fahrenheit, uh, you could just get to your window and open it just a little bit. And let's say if you don't have the window where there is morning sunlight, then just get outside for 30 seconds. And even if there is no sunlight, remember that the rays, the sun, not the sun, but the daylight comes through the clouds still, and it's still very, very positive for us to see even if there is no sun on a cloudy day. You can touch the tree, any tree, when you are with your kids, for example, on a walk, right? Does have to be in the morning. It's ideal, of course, but life is not ideal. It's not that I always can do all my things. So when you're on your walk, or when you're going even to your car to buy groceries, just stop for 30 seconds, hug a tree, or just put your hands onto the tree and just stay there breathing for 5 breaths, because the tree is having a grounding effect, because the tree is connected to the ground, right? Ideally, if you could do it barefoot, but it's not possible, for example, for me, because I'm in the city. It's dirty in the winter time, the snow is dirty, it's slushy sometimes, so I just walk and I just hug trees. And some people think that maybe I am insane, and I don't care because it feels nice.
I love that. That's funny. You are one of the OG tree huggers. It's so beautiful too to think about Jesus creating all of this for us. The Bible says in him we live and move and have our being. And so I think that's a comforting thought for any mom listening. If you're in a situation where you feel like every single thing to take care of yourself is actually out of reach right now, you're in an intense season maybe of the newborn period, or multiple toddlers, or maybe multi-generational living in your home, and you're feeling like there's just nothing I can do to make things better in that season. But the one thing that we can do is press into God. The his scriptures are life-giving to us. Reading the Psalms out loud is life-giving to us. There's I really love the Pause app by John Eldridge. There's so many beautiful prayer apps. And so even if nothing else is ideal in your life, this is the one thing that we can hang on to, is that God is with us, that he is good, that he has good plans for us, and he will deliver us from every difficult circumstance. Evgenia, as you've grown, going through this hardship in childhood and then becoming a mom and a wife and learning how to live in relationship, even though you've had this trauma in childhood, what have been some of the most helpful things for just learning to live with more peace?
I think that nature, first of all, and when I was baptized when I was young, but I would not say that I was a follower, right, an active believer. And right now, I am. I started going to church on every Sunday, and it kind of feels really weird to me because, for example, our Russian Orthodox Church is when you get in and everything is quiet and you have to follow certain rules and everything. And here, when I'm going to Christian church, everyone greets me like I'm their best friend, and it does feel weird. I should say that, like when people are so happy to see me, I'm like, I don't know, it feels weird, but it does feel like a community, right? And when I became a believer right now, it's not that I disbelieved, but I am actively practicing my faith. That's what I mean. When I get outside, I do get the feeling of being able to capture the beauty of God's creation. Like I was walking yesterday, just short walk, and I looked up, and there are still some green trees here, um, and the sun was reflecting on this, and I thought, what a beautiful world God created for us that we can be. Everything here is healing. We just need to see it. We just not need to, I mean, sometimes we need extra help in our health journeys, but really the foundation, the basic things are so simple, and we always forget about them. Even myself too. We always reach to something that we can pay money for, that someone was doing and promoting, but in reality lots of people are not promoting very, very simple things because they are free. And I just want to remind everyone that nature is healing, breathing is healing, great whole food is healing, not the food that man made and packaged, but realistic food, um, meat, right? And I know it's very controversial for many people, but again, um, you can use it or you cannot use it, but all the wholesome food is great for us. Water, right? Clean water is extremely important, and all of this would be influencing our well-being, our nervous system, because for example, if we have mineral deficiencies, it does feel like anxiety, it does feel like no energy, it does feel like adrenal fatigue or adrenals that are dead, right? And the most important out of all of this, what I said, and I did not mention this right now, and I will be promoting it on my Instagram or my social media more and more, because I recently was diagnosed with some um, nervous system sleep disorder, and my adrenals are actually kind of sleeping, they're sleeping, and my minerals are also very, very depleted. So I just want to remind you that God gave us rest, and every day's rest is sleep. We have to sleep. We must sleep before breathing, before eating good food, before drinking water with minerals, before working out or doing anything. Just get yourself to sleep. You will see how this will change your life. I'm talking about this because it does change my life. It keeps changing my life, and I am quite surprised how great it works. And it's free, and you feel so rested, and you can manage so many things with your kids even when there is chaos, and when there is misunderstandings and kids are fighting and husband is not satisfied, and there is all the things we experiencing on a daily basis. If you don't sleep, 100% they will be feeling like it's way more than it is. And when you sleep, you'll wake up ready for the day. And what's important is that you go to sleep not after 12, but before 12. You can, of course, choose to sleep as many hours as you want to, but the hours from 9 to 12, 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. are the most important hours in every single process our body is going through. And stop eating before this, like at least 2 hours before you go to sleep, because instead of sleeping and resting and recovering and restoration, your body will be digesting your food and spending energy on this. Try, if you're eating right now before bed, try to slowly move it 15 minutes every day. But sleep is the best God's creation after nature.
Yeah, such a good reminder of Jenny. And I think that so often we're not sleeping because we're worried. You know what I mean? We're staying up
Yes,
late to wrap more presents, or we're staying up late to plan homeschool lessons. But the truth is that God is for us. And so then who can be against us? I'm looking at Psalm 121. It says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And it goes on to say, the Lord is your keeper. The Lord is a shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. And I think when we just continually, memorize that, repeat it over ourselves, when we can more and more rest into the truth that God has us and our children, then we can begin to make decisions not out of worry or fear or dysregulation, but out of that peace that passes understanding. Evgenia, it's been such a joy to chat with you today. I hope moms will find you at nourishedmotherhood.com and get on your newsletter. It's such a helpful newsletter. You often send out these really amazing like infographics and charts that you could print out and put on your wall to remind you of some of these excellent foundational health habits. So thanks so much for sharing your wisdom today, Evgenia.
thank you so much, and I hope it will help at least one mama.